Now I already know, most of you wanted this foul to be called on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that's understandable, but I'm gonna tell you why it wasn't called. First things first, foul or not, if you've ever been on a basketball team that is competitive and not just some kiddie team, you've probably heard a coach tell a big man to keep the ball high and don't bring it back down. And for those of you that haven't heard that before, I want you to try and guess why. 3, 2, 1. Well, the answer is because smaller guys now have a chance to get a hand on the ball if you bring it down low. And if you're a big man, the refs tend to miss a lot of calls down low because you're supposed to be the strongest guy on the floor who can battle through contact. Take all of that in and combine it with this play happening so fast, it now becomes pretty easy to see why this one was missed. Now, was it a foul on SGA? Of course, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you believe this Oklahoma City Thunder team fouls consistently. But have you ever sat back and thought maybe they just play beautiful defense? Right now, OKC is first in defensive rating at 106.2, and if you think about it, a lot of people say Shai won't be good in the playoffs because he won't be getting those calls. Well, hey, if we use that same logic for the teams going against OKC, it may just get even harder for opposing teams to score on OKC with them playing this aggressive, fast-paced defense. Look at this play here. Aaron Gordon attempts to bully Williams into the paint, and with him succeeding at doing so, he now finds himself amongst two Thunder defenders with Chet rotating over. Lou Dort in perfect position, ready to hop on a pass if it's made to Brown on the backside as well. But with Gordon fighting for control on the ball inside, that pass is no longer available as he's solely focused on maintaining possession, and before he can even get a breath of air, Lou Dort is slapping it out his hands to go the other way. This Oklahoma City defense is so pesky to the point where even double screens can't keep a defender away, and if you look at the floor, Kawhi really has nowhere to go. Williams is helping over far to cut off the drive going right, Caruso is trailing right behind him, so going left won't yield the best results either. So the only other option is to go straight at Hartenstein. Well, when we roll the clip, you'll see Leonard go right at him, but with those quick hands, Hartenstein's able to strip Kawhi on the pull-up. There's truly a combination of things that make this Thunder team a problem on the defensive end, but each aspect is majorly important to the entire operation. Such as this play here, when MPJ puts it on the deck, it's important that Chet gets into his body to slow him down slightly, which allows Wallace to get into position on the backside, so once MPJ sees that angle is gone, he now opts into a spin move that leads him right into Caruso, and with Porter not being the greatest passer, he can't find this window to kick it out to Russ on the outside, so he's now stuck looking for an open look, which he thinks he finds on the backside with Brown right below him. But Cason Wallace is already 2 steps ahead, ready to track the ball down. Caruso is also flying down, ready to take away the right-handed layup as well, and this one ends up sailing out of bounds with a Wallace poke from behind. Yeah, these guys just constantly swarm you on the floor, as they like to get the ball out of guys' hands to force others to make plays, but like we just touched on, they'll aggressively impede your space, making you speed up the offense. And right here, you're going to see Caruso slide over to basically funnel Powell into the lane where 2 more defenders are waiting on him, and that's 1 being iHeart ready to contest the layup, and 2 Dort who's ready to slide down to take away Zubac on the backside. This right here forces Powell to go right at Hartenstein, which doesn't go his way, and even though they get another crack at it, it's just another miss on the stat sheet. When you have a team that is disconnected on defense, it'll close off many routes you want to take, such as versus Celtics here. Jaylen Brown knows if he continues towards the middle, he'll be met with Dort either at the front of his attack or from the backside. And let's say he was to break past that, he now has Wiggins and Shai who can easily slide over to contest. So instead of attacking down the middle, he chooses to use a spin move to eliminate Wallace from the picture to proceed to attack right at the rim. But here's where those crispy rotations from OKC come in handy, with Chet and Shai closing this gap entirely, making this conversion extremely tough to go in. I know, I get it, in real time it may look like fouls, but they're actually just great at beating guys to the spot. Such as on this cut from Jokic, Williams just gets a hand inside to poke the ball out before Jokic can gather it, and right here I want you all to look at the floor and guess what happens next. If you guessed the pass to MPJ, well you'd be wrong, as Brown shovels it right back to Jokic, who both J-Dub and J-Will collapse on, and if you look on this backside, you're going to see Caruso ready for this pass to MPJ, Chet's already in the process of sliding over to help, and ultimately this ends up in another miss. If we're being honest, there's not a lot of teams around the league that are this in sync when it comes to rotations on the defensive side, and that is a main reason why the Thunder are able to shut down teams, but alongside rotating, they also do a great job of cutting off drives to then force the opposing team into a much tougher shot. Take a look at this play here. Kawhi initially wants to drive right, but Wiggins is right there to close that up. So Kawhi uses a hesitation to then attack further, but now look what he runs into. Not only is it 2 defenders glued to his hip, but also SGA comes over to cut off the attack, and this one right here, well it just has a solo date with the backboard. Against a lot of other teams, this Harden pick and roll is usually dangerous. But with Williams in front of Harden, he can't really attack further. Shea is in perfect position to tag Zoo on the roll, and Wiggins is rushing hard from behind. So you tell me, where else can Harden go with the pass? Bada bing, you guessed it. He can dump it right off to Dunn on the backside, right? Well, in theory, this will work out great. And as we play the clip, Harden is able to get it there. But I'm sure we've all learned things throughout this video, and that's that OKC will be there in a flash. So as you can see, Shea is loading up to rotate down, Dort then follows this and so does Williams, and now Dunn is being smothered before he ends up getting it blocked. That whole play started because the Thunder's ability to cut off Harden's penetration off the pick and roll, and once again here, you're going to see Hartenstein stun at Harden to take away that drive once more, and this time instead of Shea, you have Caruso cutting off Zoo's angle to attack the rim, which forces him to go back towards the middle right into Hartenstein, and this hook over the top just clanks off the rim. Time and time again, you'll see this team aggressively patch up holes in a quickness where they could be exploited, and this is what sends offenses into a frenzy. When you play up tight as a defense and use your hands to steady jab at the ball, this takes away any comfort for the offensive player when getting to their spots. With that same aggression, they'll use it to force the ball out of primary handler's possession to then make secondary guys make plays, and well, we see how that ended up. And with them always pursuing the ball with a relentless nature, they'll end up getting beat off the dribble in certain situations, but their ability to seamlessly switch takes away all open looks on the floor. I know this team may be on the smaller size when it comes to preference defensively, but they lean more on speed and awareness rather than the size. Sure, if you let guys get established in the paint or have clear lanes to attack, that's when problems can arise, but that's exactly what they focus on taking away and living with everything else. OKC will help off so far like Caruso does here, simply to keep the lane cluttered and limit all options of an attack to the paint, leaving Westbrook wide open, but that's something that they're not even worried about. Trust me, I understand how it can be frustrating for other fan bases to see them be so aggressive and handsy on defense, but when you look at the film, you can see that it's not so much that they foul a lot, it's that they attack you with speed and actually play team defense. If you think about a lot of teams around the NBA, they tend to have one or two guys who specialize in defense, and the rest of the guys are either subpar or do just enough. But with this team, it's like everyone is blended together. You can try and pick on one guy all you want, but it simply won't work, as they have many pillars in place to shut you down. Now, I'm not here to say that they're going to shut out teams in the playoffs, as certain teams will adjust and figure out ways to defeat this defense. But if we're being honest, they found a different way to bother teams with the utilization of speed rather than size, which stops teams from even getting close to the basket, and this is why they can get away with quote-unquote fouling while other teams can't. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're first to know when I upload. If you want to further support this channel, consider signing up for my Patreon, which is linked in the description. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.